Songwe, great to talk to you. Your career littered with a lot of activity, many pit stops. But let's start from the top, shall we? Songwe Chalwe, where does the tactical story begin?
First of all, I would like to thank you for having me on your show. And yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for having me here. It's a long story.
Long?
Very long story. If you say starting from the top, where exactly do you mean? Starting from the top.
Let's start from the little boy in you.
Okay.
Like your first introduction to football. Would you say you've always wanted to be a striker or an attacker, so to speak?
Yes, definitely. I've always wanted to be a striker. From my childhood, growing up with my parents, my father, my mother, and my brothers around, and coming from a parent who was a soccer player as well, and a coach, obviously you'll like to imitate what he was doing. So football, it's in our blood, and that's something that, because my dad was a defender and finished his career as a striker. So us, when we grew up, we found him as a striker. So it just came to us,
Okay, so Lino striker, Songwe striker, Sashi defender.
Sashi used to be a striker as well.
Oh my God.
He just turned into a defender.
Turned into a defender.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about your early years. Probably, now I'm just thinking, very slippery player between the lines, so I'm thinking more of a number 10 who'd like to face defenders. But what other positions did you play growing up?
I would say I played as a winger, 7, and I played on the left side as well. On the left side.
Okay.
And number 9 and 10. These are the positions, all the front line.
Never 8.
Never 8.
Explain that. How did that happen?
I really wanted to be closer to the goals. So for
goal scoring.
Yes.
Blood.
Yes. So for me, 8, I felt it was a bit far. So I always wanted it either wide, right or left, or even 9 or 10.
Let's talk about a gentleman called Fabian Ngolia. You worked with him.
Yes. Fabian Ngolia, he has played also a big part in my career because he's the one who got me from China Wanderers. That's a team which I was playing for when I was still staying with my mom in Kaunda Square. So Ngolia is the one who adopted me from China Wanderers and took me to Tap Dragons in Chilanga. That's where everything started for me.
What was Fabian Ngolia's belief? What did he see in you and how did he use you?
Ngolia used to use me as a number 9 because he saw the way I was very good in handling of the ball and the speed I had. So
I'm just thinking, not the biggest of number 9s.
Yes.
So you are up there, usually maybe against very big central defenders. And in an era where we are told wing play was the in thing, how would Tap Dragons attack? How would they actually service you to ensure that you're effective against very mean central defenders, so to speak?
One of my attributes which I had was I was a player who could take on any defender, and I had speed. So most of the time, I wasn't that player, that number 9 who would just hold the ball, and I would make the defender run out of position. So once I get the ball from here, I know that I've put him out of position. I can take him on or anything. I wasn't the number 9 like these other huge number 9 who would just hold the ball. And
that was your least desirable ball, where maybe they ping the ball long into these areas and expect you to hold and wait for your friends to link, or support you.
The other attributes I had was I was very good in the air. Either if they can play a long ball to me, I would make sure that if it's not flicking for the running player, or I'll just maybe flick it back to the supporting players, or even just hold it for them.
Okay, so interesting. So wouldn't want to play with strength, really. Just play in space.
Yes, that's true.
Ultimate number 9. What would you say was your biggest lesson, and what would you need from the second striker, the number 10, and the wingers that are coming through?
Mainly when we're playing, when I was still with TAP, I think we used a lot of wing play. In the middle here, obviously it will be 2 against 1, depending on the situation. But most of the time, obviously you would require the number 10 to join you as quick as possible and play it wide for us to attack the goal line. Meaning we have to have maybe even the right side winger
in the box
so that we have got more numbers. Because obviously, like I said, I was very good in the air and I was very good in attacking the first post.
What was the philosophy in terms of the transition and, for example, when you didn't have the ball, in terms of the proverbial harassing that many coaches would actually demand of their players?
Especially when the ball is in their half, or especially maybe they're starting a goal kick. I remember those days. We used to be told that we have to make sure that they don't start at the back. Immediately they start, we have to put pressure so that they play long, and then we can win the ball from the back and start building up. But when the ball is in their half, okay, it's in our half, I'll be remaining alone there just to catch a breath, so that when the ball comes to me, I've got that energy of running into the spaces and holding the ball for my teammates.
Okay, how much did you like the idea of these positions, the wide positions? Or would you want to be in the box or the box above the box, they say?
It will depend what kind of a number 9 we have at the moment. If I'm playing wide, maybe we've got someone who's very, very, very strong. It will depend even the kind of teams we are playing, depending on their central defenders. Sometimes the coach will say, okay, for this game, you're playing wide. Because he knew that at speed, I could take on a defender, I can cross left or right. So it will depend, say, okay, to be the tactics of the coach on that day. So we just have to adapt to what the coaches have said.
Okay, let's talk about another gentleman you worked with. Waters, Wilson, Mwale. Yeah. Tell us about his belief when you were younger and how he managed you, really.
Wilson Mwale, Coach Wilson Mwale was very good, actually. He was a motivator. He's still a motivator. He used to motivate us, and he used to give us the self-belief that we can do it. And one important part in a player, which a player always likes to feel, is when the coach shows him that he believes in him. And he used to do that to us.
What system of play would Wilson Mwale love to play?
I remember normally we used to play 4-3-3.
Okay.
4-3-3.
Paint the picture for us, and where is Songwe in his 4-3-3?
Okay, we'll go like this to. Okay. This is number 6. Like this.
With 2 attacking midfielders.
2 attacking midfielders and 3 frontline players.
Okay, so I'm just thinking.
Okay.
That could be Songwe with the 10.
Yes, that could be me. But in this system, we were free to be found anywhere. Either I can find myself there, this guy can find himself there, or either even this guy can find himself there. So we're not restricted to be in one position. So this is the kind of 4-3-3 we used to play under Wilson Mwale.
Okay. When you actually go forward and with that freedom, the biggest question is now, when there's a breakdown, what would be Wilson Mwale's approach to ensure that we keep it neat and tidy? Would he mind you winning the ball deeper in your own half, or it has to be somewhere where the ball needed to be won back?
For now, I would say football has really changed a bit. Because those days, you would find us, maybe we've lost the ball, he's there, oh, I'm there, he's there. Once we lose the ball, most of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they will do the marking for us. We'll just come back, maybe
walk
slowly,
back,
jog back, and find ourselves where here. Find yourselves here to recover. So nowadays, things as time went on, football changed. So all these people were playing, all the frontline players were required to drop down and come and help the defense and move what? We would move as a team, and maybe when we lose, because the attributes we had were...
You're the destroyers. Just go. Yes. So the fullbacks don't go up. The midfield three, just keep it nice and tight in the middle.
Normally, the fullbacks will move. But you find that if we're attacking on the right side, only one fullback will move. These guys supporting. But once you lose the ball, this is the only guy who was required to make sure that he comes and help. He comes and help the defense. Comes and help the defense.
Okay. So ultimately, moving it forward, the 1 up, 3 down. I'm sure it also gave you a lot of latitude. But where do they actually stand when say you're higher up the pitch like that? Okay. What would be the demand? Would Songwe demand that this space be closed, or he would rather leave his team sitting low there?
When we are in attack, it means that these have to join in attack. They have to join. The number 6 has to move here. Obviously, maybe it was on the right side. Central defense, he moves up there. Again, here, this was, if it's 2 strikers like this, obviously, to be like this. To be like this.
So one sweeper, then one V1 in the transition.
Yeah. If maybe this attacker has gone down to come and help, obviously, this guy will tuck in a bit, just here, tuck in a bit.
Just keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye, yeah, in case of anything.
And wouldn't be scared about that long ball over the top. And against quick and pacey opponents, what if the opponent had a Songwe? And then now it also probably demanded certain things from your central defenders.
I think you would see here it's a 2v1 situation. If the ball is being played there, obviously this one will chase. The sweeper has to go and cover in case of anything, and this one has to come as well. So you're always ready for anything like that, anything like a counter.
Now let's just talk about your arrival at Red Arrows, forerunner to. It was a successor to the team called Ministry of Finance, where your brother actually played. Just tell us, you joining that team, how did it all happen?
Red Arrows, before it was Red Arrows, like you said, it used to be called Ministry of Finance before Zambia Air Force adopted it to become Red Arrows. So that's where my brother used to play. And before that, I think when I was with China, we used to play a lot of friendly games with the Ministry of Finance. So it's a team which, I would say it wasn't a new team for me, because most of the players who were playing there, we knew each other. So when I joined Red Arrows, it was after we had played them, when I was still with the Tap Dragons. I believe we beat them 3-1, and I scored one of their goals. And after a few games, they came chasing, and that's how I joined Red Arrows.
Okay, so you found Matthews Perry there?
Yes, I found Matthews Perry.
First pro experience. How did Super League football actually feel? How different was it from what you had played previously?
When I joined Red Arrows, I think they were still in the first division, and the only approach they had a professional approach where they used to train in the morning and afternoon. And coming from a team which they were only training in the afternoons, I think I found a bit of challenge, because you had to adapt to training twice a day.
The heat? Early morning heat?
Early morning heat, and even the afternoon heat, where you only, you don't go home. You have lunch after your morning session, they take you for lunch, and then you come back after rest. You train in the afternoon as well. So it took a bit of time to adapt to that. So I would say I joined a team which was a professional team, which already started practicing professionalism by that time, by those years. So I think it took a bit of time for me to adjust, but I adjusted to it.
All right, let's talk about on the field matters, shall we? So ultimately, what did Matthew Spiri actually do in terms of game approach? How did he want his team to play? And what were his demands on you?
I think by that time, it was all about the players which were with the Red Arrows. I think there was Victor Lupia, there was Smart Mwansa, there was myself, there was Levi Majariwa, and it will just depend on the players on the day.
Who are available.
Who are available.
But what's the most common system that he actually chose to play? And how would he play you?
I think at first he loved two systems. He loved a 4-3-3 and a 4-4-2, meaning wing play. Meaning that the players who be playing wing have to have speed and have to have the ability of taking on a defender and putting in nice crosses.
And so I'm thinking, what did he think of you? One of the two strikers, or?
When I arrived, I started playing one of the two strikers because in mind he knew that I could also play wide, but because of I was very good at scoring goals, so he opted me to be closer to the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
But default partnerships, where did you get most joy in his 4-4-2 when you arrived at Red Arrows?
I would play with Victor Lupia. I'll play with Victor Lupia. That's where I think we partnered very well. Most of the time, you find that we had an attacking midfielder who was Levi Majariwa, who was very good at hitting those balls from outside the 18. And Victor had pace. If you watch our front line, all the front line players had speed. And those days, you need to have speed to take on a defender. So you'd find I would play with Victor Lupia, and behind would be Levi Majariwa, who was very good at shooting from afar. And on the right, I think we had speed wingers who would cross the balls for us. But the most important thing in his system was not having the ball too much in your half, meaning that you have to make sure that immediately you jump the halfway line, the pace has to change.
Ultimately. So what would be your defensive responsibility? Because you talked about your time with Wilson Mwale, where the rest of the team does the donkey work. But this time, as a striker, how much defensive pressure or requirement did you actually have to actually play in his 4-4-2?
The defensive part would, like we said, would have two strikers, Lupia, Victor, and myself, so that in case they start the ball on the right side, this one puts pressure, you move. If it's on the left side, I put pressure, and then he supports me. In case they've put a long ball, we're required to drop back. Always, we're told that always we have to be behind the ball.
Closer to the midfield.
Yes, closer to the midfield.
I'm just now trying to think. Was it the level of football actually demanded that compared to your time at Tap Dragons and also Mali, where you can be strolling back? But now you need to get behind the ball very quickly. Get behind the ball. How would you define the league at the time? They say it was a higher level, but
I think as time went on, as I started moving, even the football started changing in terms of like defensive organization, meaning that what we used to do, like when that responsibility of saying that only these other guys will defend. Now we have to. I used to get involved now more, so there was a lot of demand now. Once you lose the ball, you have to come down. Lose the ball, you have to come down and help you're like moving as a block. We're moving like a block.
How hard or difficult was it to actually get that into your mindset and just get it into your natural play?
It was a bit difficult because it was really demanding. Meaning you're coming from attacking, maybe at a high pace, and then you lose the ball, or they put the ball, they just kick the ball in front. That means you have to come down, try and help, like grow the spaces, make the spaces as small as possible, so that it's easy for you to regain the ball again.
And the shape. And it was the same principle even in his 4-3-3.
Yes.
Well, that's how you go to South Africa, Kaizer Chiefs. First off, first pro, PSL, the place where many Zambians have actually shined. Ted Dimitri is now your handler there. But what do you think happened to you tactically as a player for you to actually get that move to go to Kaizer Chiefs?
I would thank first the coaches who I passed through during my playing career, before I could even go to Kaizer Chiefs. Because if I remember, if it wasn't for the under-23, the national team, I believe I wouldn't have gone maybe to Kaizer Chiefs, because Kaizer Chiefs wanted players who had played for the national team, who had caps for the national team, under-23. So for me playing there, it wasn't only because of my club, but it was because of the coaches who I passed through.
At under-23, let's talk about your under-23 time. With Toshak, Zambian legend. I think he was an absolute terror in the wings when he played for the national team. But let's talk about him as a coach. What did Toshak demand from you? And what was his default system when you played with him?
Like I said, I passed through too many coaches. With Red Arrows, we used to play 4-3-3, 4-4-2. But when I went to the under-23, we found a different system. We would play 3 at the back, 3-5-2, with a sweeper, 3-5-2. Toshak demanded, Coach Peter Kaume demanded a lot, 3-5-2, meaning.
Now we can just juggle them any which way. Okay, that's your back three.
Yes.
That's your back three. So that's your 3-5-2 right there.
Yes.
How many defensive midfielders?
Would have
1 or 2.
1.
So something like that. In the 3-5-2. Now all of a sudden, where did he frame you?
As usual, I used to play on top. Either that time, I think we were playing with. I played with Christopher Katongo. I played with maybe Ngosa. And by that time, I remember Collins used to play as a wing back. But most of the games, when we started playing as a wing back. As time went on, we started playing together on top.
I'm just thinking, even when Collins was young, he wasn't the super quickest. So I'm thinking, when he goes, somebody needs to cover for him.
Yes, definitely.
And that was the reservation. Okay, let's talk about his 3-5-2. By way of attack, how do you start your attack, and do you stand square? Do you come short in the number 10 position? What was Toshak's view?
We had the likes of sometimes Nyamamwewa, No Mandira. We had Patrick Masosa, and would have sometimes it was Billy Mwanza and what's his name, Stephen Kunda as a sweeper. So definitely when we start the ball, we used to start from the back. It required build up. These would move. He would also move like in the midfield, so that when they start play, mostly we used to depend on the speed of Coach No Mandira, Nyamwewa.
Or Collins Mbesuma.
Or Collins in Besuma, yeah. Because Collins and Neo, they were very good in attacking and giving in crosses. So once we reached this area, we always knew that the supply will come.
What did it mean? You paint a very important picture. Collins Mbesuma as a wing back, and he needed to come back. How easy or difficult was it for him to go forward, or was he given some special rights to actually go forward, or he just demanded everyone to work just as hard?
In this system, I believe on Collins' side, he used to come into the midfield. So you have to appreciate each other. The nearest has to just tuck in or move into your friend's position, the nearest, and then someone else will adapt, will come into the nearer position. So he will come just jogging until someone else
covers for him. Now, in terms of freedom, how much freedom did you have with Peter Kaumba playing up top?
He gave us the belief and the confidence because he knew what our abilities were. So he gave us the freedom, especially in the half, to do anything with the ball. Because if you see, sometimes if it was Chris, he was very good also in dribbling. I was very good in handling of the ball, dribbling, and even in scoring. But most of the time, we would depend too much on these. Us, we would just simplify, give the balls to the wing backs to put the crosses in the 18 and score.
Okay, tell me about partnering with Collins at the under-23, up top.
Yeah.
Eventually, he came up top.
Yes, eventually.
Where did you appreciate him more?
On top. Because when we played with Collins, I would be like coming down a bit because of his body structure. He was very good in holding of the ball. I would let him hold the ball. Maybe sometimes I'll come behind and receive the ball from here. He opens up for me. Maybe I'll even play that side or play a double pass, and then go into the spaces.
Special player Collins was at under-23. Well, now let's talk Ted Dimitri on Kaizer Chiefs.
Okay.
Well, welcome to Soweto. Sure. When you arrived at Kaizer Chiefs and actually came with a reputation of being a Zambian, what was Ted Dimitri's welcome notes for you, and what did he expect from you?
Like you said, Kaizer Chiefs, there were Zambians who played there before, and they had set a big reputation. So even when going there, you knew that, there are people, legends who have passed through there, who have done very well. So they had set a higher standard. So for me going there, I knew that I have to maybe imitate them or even do more than what they did.
Okay, let's talk about systems. Ted Dimitri, how did you line up in a Ted Dimitri lineup?
Ted Dimitri, it was a normal 4-4-2. Normal 4-4-2 system. 4-4-2. Once you lose the ball, you tuck in. And
you form a diamond.
Yeah, you form a diamond. One tucks in. So with him, it was 4-4-2.
You were the guy that tucks in from central midfield.
Yes, because that time, at least when I joined them, I found Collins was already there. And then I partnered him. So obviously, definitely, I would drop down and leave Collins alone.
What was the rules of engagement? Having played with Collins at under-23, what was the biggest difference in terms of how you played with Collins when it came to the under-23 and at Kaizer Chiefs?
I think even this partnership, I think it really worked well with under-23. And I believe that's why even they got me. So when we played again, it was almost the same. There was no difference. The only thing is, so most of the time I would just drop down and leave him alone. So because of most people thought that Collins doesn't have speed because of his structure. But us who knew him, we knew that
they had the shock of their life.
Yes, they did.
Tell me something. During your time at Kaizer Chiefs, those in number 31, Hadebe.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people actually credit the guy who played the number 10 to be the kingmaker of the Ntofo. How do you describe Hadebe as a second striker? For example, if you were not playing.
Because most of the time you find, maybe if I'm not playing, it will be Hadebe playing, or sometimes maybe I play a bit wide, but joining in the middle. Like 3 strikers, but playing wide and joining in the middle. Okay. And in number 10, I believe he makes people off position. He creates space for the number 9.
What was good about Hadebe in making Collins effective is because once you get Collins into the box, you probably skin them.
Because in this system, I believe Collins most of the time, like what the coach used to tell him, he would want him more in the box. So he would let either myself or Hadebe do the donkey
Work
run.
The pressing.
Yeah. The running around, just creating confusion in the defense. And once you do that, if someone else, there was also this other guy, Arthur Zwani, who was very good in crossing, and the
Skarangobese.
Yeah, and the Skarangobese, the late Skarangobese. So you would find that these guys would take on defenders, and the number 10 would make problems for the central defenders there. And Collins always found in a good position to score goals because he was good at scoring.
Very good. But there's also another part of Collins that probably liked to get between the lines because he was a good dribbler.
Yes.
And so sometimes when he gets there, what would be the rule of engagement? You take up his position, or
definitely
you form this?
Sometimes it will be because we've made a partnership. Depending on the situation, you just say, okay, let me catch a breath. He drops down. When he drops down, that's where he used to come, play maybe a double passes, even dribble. And when he comes from deep, he used to be dangerous as well. So most people never knew him that he was very good coming deep and getting the ball deep, because if you remember, I told you that Collins started playing as a left back. And if you see how left backs play, they come, they build up from the back. So for him, playing closer to the goal, it was even easy for him.
Oh, well done. So what, record breaking, ended up at Portsmouth. And yeah, the story continued. After Collins left Chiefs, what was your feeling about the whole setup now? It really needed to change the way the team actually played.
Normally, after Collins left, I think I started playing his position, like being the main man. And we had the late Shoes Mushwell, who was very instrumental in our game. So yeah, we missed Collins after he went because the team changed.
Tell me something. Shoes. Name the legend of the game right there. You continued with 4-4-2.
Yes.
Under Ted Dimitri. Where would Shoes play? And what would be the tactical implication?
As a number 8. Shoes will play as a number 8, as an attacking midfielder. He'll be the supplier.
What did it actually mean? Looking at being the main man now. You probably wouldn't play the exact same way as Collins did.
Yes. I think, like I said, I wasn't a player who would just be controlling the ball there. And I would be a player who would be getting the balls in the spaces, maybe a number 9 who gets the balls in the spaces, hold the ball from them for the teammates to join, and then we attack. So it was a bit different.
Oh, played with absolute legends right there, Jean Shoes Mushwell. And ultimately, you were hugely successful with Kaizer Chiefs, but there came a time where you had to say your goodbyes. You went to Morocco Swallows. Tell me about that one.
I think I went to Morocco Swallows after Ted left. I think there was a new coach who came in, Ernest Middendrop, who's the current coach for Kaizer Chiefs. And football, knowing the way it is, every coach has got his own style of play and the way he wants. So I had to go and join Morocco Swallows.
What did Enes Mindedop want when he walked in?
I think I wasn't the kind of player where you just want to hold the ball. Maybe he was looking for a number 9 who would just hold the ball for
a target man.
Target man, sorry. I wasn't the target man. He was looking for a target man.
Okay. Morocco Swallows. Let's talk about that one. Your arrival at Morocco Swallows, what did you actually find?
I found Gavin Hunt. I think the kind of trainings we were training at Chiefs and the Swallows were totally different.
Explain.
In terms of mostly at Chiefs, we used to work a lot on tactics a lot, and
offensive tactics, game control.
Yeah, game control. And for Gavin, for you to play in his team, you have to be extra fit. So when we went there was a lot of running.
I thought it would remind you of back home.
It was different.
Harder than back home.
Yeah, it was different. Imagine a white man making you run, and then you're coming from home thinking that you're running. So I just had to adopt also to Morocco Swallows, and I think I did that.
What was the playing style?
4-4-2.
4-4-2. How did Gavin Hunt want his 4-4-2 played?
I think Gavin is 4-4-2. I was playing as a number 10 for Gavin. We had a number 9 who was very tall, Mama Niang. So for Gavin, mainly he would want the ball to reach the goal as quick as possible. So
Route 1.
Most of the time, we're not building up. He would give you time to build up, but most of the time we would target the target man, and then meaning that others will play from the second ball. He will play the old British style, where you have to reach by the goal within seconds.
How did that feel for a player who loved ball at feet?
It only happened, would only attack from there once the ball goes into the half. That's when
and then you are allowed to play.
You're allowed to play there. But most of the time, the build-up wasn't too much, like the previous teams which I played for. So normally, if it's a goal kick, sometimes it's a goal kick, route 1 into the target man, and then you play from the second ball, meaning that the midfield, defensive midfield, the opponent midfield and the striking force, that means you have to jump them.
Wow. And being a central midfielder, that means you'd hardly get direct. You'd rarely get to face your opponents and go past them. Unless it was after a second ball drop, then small spaces.
I think, like I said, it wasn't just a route 1 situation, but there were a few times where you would start at the back. But normally, what he loved most was you have to reach the opponent's half as quick as possible.
So, wingers, there.
Wingers, yes.
Forwards, there. Songwe.
Yeah.
Anchorman.
Attacking midfielder. Anchorman somewhere there, yeah. And then these also, they push like this. That's when after you've played already the ball, that means they have to push. They have to make sure that they push.
Ready to collect the second ball, and now. So it was about pinning the opponent in their own half.
Yes. And once you lose the ball, you have to press in their own half.
How successful was this system?
I think when I went there, the first year, we came number 9. And then the second year, we ended up on 3rd position on goal difference. We missed out Continental on goal difference.
And he's managed to beat that target in your absence. So it was definitely work in progress. Let's talk about your time briefly at Golden Arrows.
I think I forgot even to mention, this is the time where the second season, when Gavin second season. That's the time where James Shamanga was coming from Super Sport. He even joined us. I think he's one of the Zambian guys who I played with.
At Swallows.
At Swallows, I think. Yeah, he's one of the guys I played at Swallows.
So James target man, new second striker.
Sometimes even wide.
Oh, the Zambian connection.
Yeah, sometimes wide because of the pace. So the coach would feel that I think the ability I had said no, you can also play wide, which was true. So sometimes you find I play wide. Maybe James's target is playing with someone else who's a number 10, and it worked for us.
The top scorer in James. How did it really happen at Swallows?
Because I remember there's a game where James scored 5 goals in one match. I think he won. It was 6-1. Yeah. For us, I think it's all about a system is determined by the kind of players you have. So I think on that day, I think these are the players who the system who could fit into the system, and James was one of them. He was very good in holding and playing into.
But shockingly gentle when it came to blasting. Even the order he got, he would hardly blast. He would always be a placement striker. Hardly use power.
I think that's one of James's abilities of picking a spot. Like they just say, he wasn't a person who liked to shoot a lot, but we just placed the ball away from the keeper.
Wow, something special right there, James. And of course he also had the physical strength to actually play in those battles. So excellent. You played with many Zambians at club level, and when we go to Golden Arrows now, you meet Jose Msonda, the highest cup player in the history of Zambian football. Absolute legend of the game. But let's talk about the tactics at Golden Arrows, shall we? Who did you find there?
I found Joseph Msonda, and there was this other guy. What's his name? A former South African international, Songwe. Songwe. These are the guys who I played with, and as time went on, I think I also played with Collins again at Golden Arrows.
We met again. How did it feel? And that was after Portsmouth came back. Yes. Was it the same Collins?
Yes.
Pretty much the same talents, the same player you grew up with.
The same. I think when I talk about Collins, I think football sometimes it's all about the coach. What kind of plans or what kind of do you fit into his system? Because Collins was the same Collins who I played with before and after.
Coaches will never demand anything different other than from what he was. You find yourself in situations where the coach will place demands on you that are not natural. But wherever Collins went.
But if you look at Collins, he's one player that maybe other coaches would demand him maybe to track back.
Sometimes, like Peter Kaumba.
Track back, no. But with him, I believe he's not a player who you require to track back. And then you find that maybe other coaches, they want you to track back, and then you can't even track back. That means you are not fitting into the system. Others require to move as a team. You attack and you defend as a team. Others will say, no, the target man can remain, no problem. But others will find that they want everybody to be behind the ball. And if I remember Collins always be the same.
Well, in terms of adapting your game, of course you were getting older. How did you need to adapt your game? The older you got, probably speed would not still be the same weapon that you'd obviously unleash on opponents. Well, did it actually ring in you like, maybe I should begin to adapt my game a little bit more?
For me, I would say speed has always been my strength. And I used to work on that. We used to work on that a lot. So playing for Golden Arrows, still I believe I had that same speed I had. I had the speed. Even when I came back home, I remember
taking them on.
Taking them on. So I never had that mind of saying that I feel I'm getting old. Once you start thinking like that, you are limiting yourself.
So you cancelled that thought completely.
Completely.
Let's talk about your national team career. Played under many coaches, but I want to start with, and you're one of those players that were not lucky to play an AFCON, but you played under a good number of coaches. Let's talk about Ben Bamfuchile for starters. How do you describe Ben Bamfuchile from a tactical vantage point?
I think he's one of the best coaches I've also worked with, and he's a coach who would demand a lot from a player. Once you just know what he wants and you do what he wants, you would see the best.
You would need to be fit as well.
Yeah, you need to be fit
and run. So Gavin and Ben Bamfuchile, similar demands in terms of the physical draining.
Yes. But with Ben, believed in the abilities of the player, but in order, he didn't just believe in the ability. You have to be fit for you to execute what you have. So he's one coach who would demand a lot from a player.
Tactics. Tell us, what would Ben Bamfuchile demand?
With Ben, he knew that if you are fit, you will do anything. And he's a person who loved starting from the back as well. He would start from the back, but once you lose the ball, he would want everybody to be in shape. Keep the shape.
4-4-2?
Keep the shape, 4-4-2. Keep the shape.
Okay. That is something special. Specific demands on you. What did he specifically require of you? What would he say and repeat over and over?
Goals. You have to score goals. You have to know where he has put you. You have to know what you are supposed to do. If you're number 9, 10, wingers, they have to cross. Strikers, they have to score goals. He would demand goals. He would tell you that to win a game, you have to score goals. If you don't score goals, that means you're not a striker.
Competitive coach, just wanted to get the result.
Yes.
Okay. How would you describe Kalu? You also played under him. Missed CAN 08. He was in charge at 06, but you also missed CAN 08.
Yes.
That was under Patrick Perry. But let's start with Kalu, shall we? Kalu tactics.
I believe every coach wants to win. And Kalu wanted us to play good football. Starting from the back, nice build up. If you're a striker, he would demand what is needed from a striker. If you're a striker, he would ask you, how many shots have you shot at goal in a game? And then you ask yourself, have I shot at goal? And a coach tells you that. What does it tell you? He's telling you what you're supposed to be doing. So Kalu is coming in at it brought a change in our team, and for him, he was exposed a lot in Europe and everywhere in the world, and being coached by him, it was an inspiration, a person who we used to
watch on
TV. It was a privilege to play under him.
What did you say was the difference? At under 23, played under Peter Kaumba, then you got old and met Kalu. In terms of approach, what would you say were the differences between Peter Kaumba and Kalu?
Kalu was more exposed. And everybody, I think, mainly he would tell us what he demands from us.
Each and every position. Ben Bamfuchile, Patrick Perry. You played under some very good coaches. Patrick Perry.
Yes.
First, you're part of that squad that went to Cape Town.
Yeah, I was. I think, and I think I was just dropped.
The Chris Katongo show.
Yeah, I was just dropped on the last day. There was something which happened, family matters, and then I was dropped. I went to handle a family matter.
Okay. Were you surprised? That 3-1 victory, Chris Katongo on fire, and the likes of Isaac Chance, of course, were in that team, Andrew Sinkala. But let's talk about one player that I don't know whether we didn't see enough of at the national team. But Andrew Sinkala, as a number 6 under Patrick Perry, what would be Patrick Perry's view and approach towards matches?
If you talk about Andrew used to simplify a lot, and that's what you require for your number 6. Number 6, you have the ball, you play simple. This is a position where you need to be protecting your central defense, or anywhere where you've got laps. That's where you need to cover. So for Andrew, played this position very smart and very, very good, because most of the number 6, they want to be involved like their number 8. This is a person where if you got nowhere to go, you play him. He plays it.
He
switches. Yeah, he's the one who changes position. His position of play. In case you are coming from this side, he's the one who will switch the ball from this side to take the ball this side.
How important was Andrew for Isaac in your view?
Gattuso, Isaac.
Because Isaac would also be, he would have a lot of dynamite in him.
Isaac was one of the most of the player who I believe had a lot of energy. Isaac would go up, would come down and help even in defense. So Isaac played a big role in that game. If you watched, there was Isaac would go up and down, and we had Andrew who would simplify and protect the back four, which he did very well. So with Isaac's position, he had the ability of going and coming back and helping the defense. So it's like you had, for example, you had double 6, but with the ability of going up and down. And in that game, we had also Ian Bakala.
Yes.
Bakala, who would play as a number 10, joining
Collins and Chris. Chris Wide.
Yeah, Chris was wide.
Wow. Absolute legend. But let's talk about Patrick Perry in greater detail. Wow. Kind of legend. Legend of the game in Zambia. But what was his approach? He strikes me as a fatherly figure, but I'm sure being a national team coach would make you tough. What would be some of the tough demands that you would place on his players and team?
For Coach Patrick Perry, I thank him because I think he's one who gave me my first call-up to the national team. He's the one who saw my ability and introduced me to the nation. And like you said, he's a father figure. We praise him. I believe all these players we have talked about, we call him our father. He's our father, our mentor. And he's a coach where he gives you the belief, no matter how hard it is, and tells you that you can do it. And in football, like I said, once a player feels that the coach has a belief in him, it's always easy to play and do his best.
He wouldn't have a ton of instructions. Probably go there, enjoy yourself.
He would say that, definitely would say that. Said football is a game, but the most important thing is go there, enjoy yourselves, and play to win.
Play to win. Nothing, and you just need to go and just be Songwe.
Yes.
No other demands. Just go there and be Songwe.
The rest we had already done it during training. During the match, doesn't talk much. Just tells you go there, enjoy yourselves, and do what we have practiced. That's all.
Okay, awesome. Now, you actually played under George Lwandamina as well. After your merry-go-round in South Africa, came back home,
Yes.
and then you played with the Chicken
Yes.
at Red Arrows, or Chicken George.
Chicken George.
Ah.
Yes.
How would you describe him when he was at Red Arrows, and what was his belief?
When I came back, it was 2011. I think I'd found that Zambian football had changed from what I left behind and came. And thanks to the coach George Lwandamina.
What had changed?
The kind of football which was being played in Zambia was different. Like I said, most of the time when I was still playing, sometimes you would move. Maybe the front players are moving alone. Maybe the defense is coming. There were gaps and everything. But you would find that when I came back, after playing outside, where everything is organized, I found
the lines were compact.
The lines were compact, and when I came back, I never expected that. And then when I came back, I found Red Arrows was transformed into a very good team. Where tactically, you could see that the coach knows what he wants. And it was even easy for me to fit in.
So, 4-4-2?
It was 4-3-3.
4-3-3, okay. Paint the picture for us in terms of how compact George Lwandamina wanted his team to play. So, let's see. Let me get the three up there.
It was a bit different, the 4-3-3, where you would use wingers.
On the line.
On the line, yes. And then, okay, like this. And having a number 6 who's a holding midfielder. I think this is the kind of system. So
not narrow on the line, hug the line.
Depending where the ball is, if the ball is this side, meaning that you have to join in. You have to join in. And these attacking midfielders, for him, I think if you've seen, there are spaces, there are pockets. He would create a situation where it's not crowded. You create space for yourselves so that you can pass the ball can move nicely. So if you look here, you can even pass the ball that side. You can pass the ball maybe even to the right back. You've got space. So once the ball is this side, and you would require pacey wingers. If the ball is this side, meaning that he's going near post, he's joining, even this one. We've got more numbers in the box, and it will be easy even for the team to score.
So it was about getting the box, and the midfield too would actually, the attacking midfielders be given license to actually get into the box.
Yes.
But most importantly, no gaps in between the lines. So if the clear keeper can play sweeper keeper.
That's what I'm saying. Football changed when I came.
At Red Arrows or generally in the league?
At Red Arrows. At that time, it was at Red Arrows.
Who did you play with? Tell us what would be the average lineup in this configuration.
The time I came, I think I found there was Danny Munyao, and right side there was Jimmy Tsenga, and central there was there was a White Simwanza, and this side there was Joseph Zimba Riba. I think here there was Chama as well. Chama joined in. Bronson. And there was Richard Piri, and we had Mwape Moelwa, and sometimes you'll find that who was here? Bruce used to be on the right side. Bruce White, Stanley Shimbi, and because when I joined in first, I would start from the bench to observe. That's what I was told, to see how the team plays, because I was coming out
From a different culture.
So I had to learn. So I would first adapt and see how they were playing and join in, because I remember here there was Adubelo was playing as a number 9. Was a number 9.
And an ultimate predator in the air.
Shadrack Malambo.
Shadrack
Malambo, and there'll be who did I mean? Oh, there'll be Shadrack Malambo and Mwape Mwelwa.
It was easy.
So that was the structure.
And you won the Barclays Cup.
We won the Barclays Cup, yeah.
How was the league ready for this revolution that George Wandamina was actually bringing?
Yes, because I believe Arrows was known from playing good football under George Wandamina. He's the one who brought up that starting from the back, build up. People started calling Arrows people's team because we were playing good football by that time. So he brought something new into the team, and I really thank him for that. And I was coming from an environment where I'm used to playing from the back, and I felt that this is the right team to play under.
Kind of felt like international football.
Yes, definitely. I would say once you play for George, you can play anywhere in the world, because he was teaching us advanced football.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know how you're going to answer it. Ultimately, George Wandamina didn't win the league with Red Arrows, but yeah, I'm sure it probably was a big learning phase for all these players. He hasn't won as many league titles as good as he is. Why would you say the situation was like that?
Meaning where? At Red Arrows or what? Because
for example, at Red Arrows.
Yes.
Because you've been in teams that are successful. Why didn't this group of kids, Bruce, Shadrack Malambo, and Stanley Shimbi, why didn't they help Arrows to actually probably win something?
I think it was
by way of the league, by the way. I know they won the Barclays Cup.
It was work in progress. It was work in progress. I think if he had stayed a bit longer, the same season he left, I believe he would have won the league. Because, when you're building something, you don't just build something, it goes automatically, it goes up. You have to start slowly. And that's what he was doing.
Okay. So you ended up being coach. Congratulations on a good footballing career.
Oh, thanks very much.
But being coach, what would you say has been your biggest influence on the way you perceive the game as a coach?
Like I said, I thank all the coaches I've passed through. I've learned a lot, and it all comes to, I think I was an assistant under Coach George after I stopped playing, and I learned a lot from him, and I would like to give credit to him for teaching me what I've learned from him, the knowledge I've gotten from him, and he's one of the people who inspired me to become a coach.
Okay. So, student of George.
Yes.
Excellent. Songwe.
Thank you.
Light years ahead.
Thank you very
much.
much.
All the best.
Oh, cheers.